Is it working? Is it working?
I
think so. What, the stream?
It should be working. I think it's working. Possibly.
It's not up yet to me.
It's on like a 10-second delay.
Oh wait,
Hey.
There it is. It's up now.
All right. All right.
Frozen Joe.
Oh,
Nah, I'm just fucking y'all.
All right,
Actually
guys.
the fan. We're actually the fan.
After
Is that Mrs. Cat going off? Yeah.
after numerous minutes, possibly 30 minutes of technical difficulties, we are finally back up. Let me be the first to apologize for not being able to stream last week. I've been working on some personal acting stuff with a couple of buddies of mine. I will be in a showcase for a couple of agents and managers in a few weeks, so I have been working on that. We're working on 2 scenes. I'm going to play Dale in Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. And then I'm also going to play a character from Swingers, which is going to be a lot of fun. So that's what I was doing last week, so that's why you didn't get to see us. But you do get to see us now, so thanks so much for coming out. And as always, my name is Captain Rob. I am your Dungeon Master for the evening, and these are all of my minions who pretend to be my friend for about 2 or 3 hours out of the day. To the right of me, playing our Holy Paladin, is Cantherion, also known as Chris. Chris, go ahead and give him a wave. Underneath Chris, we have Vincent, who is our gnome sorcerer, played by my good buddy Landon. Underneath Landon, we have Jillian playing our Holy Cleric, Shadow. To the left of Jillian, we have the enigmatic Grisham, played by our buddy Kevin. And above him, my good buddy Joseph, who appears to be on Twitter, playing our wily Ranger. Elf Ranger. How was everybody's week?
So good. Oh my gosh. So good.
Because the Cubbies won?
Hashtag Cubs. Hashtag go Cubs go.
I guess it's like really exciting. I haven't been like watching the games too much, but did you know?
Except for in Packers games.
Except for the Packers games, and Packers are 5-0. Did you know that in Back to the Future they had a newspaper that said that the Cubs were going to win the World Series, and the newspaper was for this year.
Way to be up on it, Rob.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I am. Here's the ball. Here's the ball. Here's me on the ball.
Yep.
If this was the shit, I got that shit covered. Anyway,
Speaking of sports, I won a sports game that I'll never play.
what? What sports game?
I won like a Twitch giveaway for FIFA 16. Don't know what I'm gonna do with it. I guess I'll look at it.
congrats.
You can put it on your shelf. Yeah, you can have a trophy.
Yeah.
We'll emblazon it in golden spray paint.
Yeah, it's like
Why
a
don't you have
$60 game that
giveaway
like
for it?
Yeah.
just came out.
How'd you win that?
I just retweeted this thing and then I got it.
Oh, there you
I was
go.
like, fuck it. I'll just click the button and I won.
It's like winning the lottery.
I've won things
In a
that
shitty
I
way,
didn't
yeah.
know that, or didn't
It's
want.
winning the shit lottery.
Yeah.
It would have been the lottery for somebody.
Yeah.
But you
Somebody
took that
somebody
winning.
out there was paying $60 for that game, and you got that game for free. That's pretty impressive.
A AAA game right there.
Yeah, yeah. So, today we are going to go ahead and pick up with part 2 of last season's adventure, I guess last episode. I should probably fix that on the Twitch here. Hold on one second. Pay no attention to the man behind the screen. My internet's going slow. Can I make it go away? Look at the ship. Look at the ship. Enjoy the ship.
There's a ship.
I might not be able to change the title of the stream. Oh well. It's not important. The point is, if it says episode 7 right now, which I think it says episode 7, this is actually episode 8. So just in case it does say that, this is actually supposed to be episode 8. We are going to finish the adventure that we started last time in this episode, and then next week we are probably not going to be streaming on a Tuesday. I have not told this to a lot of people right here, but we may stream on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday because my girlfriend will be out of town, so I can make as much rowdy noise as I want to. And also, I plan to put together a nice, fun, Halloween-themed one-shot that we will be doing next week. So hopefully next week or the week after, we will be doing a Halloween-themed Dungeons & Dragons adventure, so please be sure to tell all your friends. But without further ado, let's change the mood. Who can tell us what happened last time we were here?
Cant's on it. Cant's on the job.
I'm not gonna do it. I'm as the boss. I'm gonna say that
I
I'm not
learned
gonna
what
do
a sewer is.
Yep, that was it. All right, so let's see. I'm trying to. I don't delineate between episodes. I need to start doing that. So I believe we picked up. Okay, so we were resting after having defeated that hellhound creature. We were in the middle of resting, and I believe we opened the episode with Venator attempting to steal the ring from me.
I got the ring. I didn't
And
attempt to steal.
He got the ring. He got the ring, but because he was literally trying to like reach into my pocket to get the ring, I did wake up after he
What he
got
means
it.
is, I rolled a 17. He rolled an 18.
Just barely woke up, and it was a big, it was a pretty easy confrontation. Venator thankfully did not press Cantharion because otherwise there would have been an in-party fight, and that's bad for everyone. So yeah, it went on without a hitch. He gave the ring back. We ended up taking the road northwest to a town known as Doncaster. Stopping along in Doncaster, we found a murder had occurred, and of course we rushed to the aid of these poor villagers because that's what we do.
It's like
That's what I do, and I don't know why they follow me.
I got a new sword.
That's right.
It's all shiny.
That's the only reason.
But it's not magical.
That I know of.
So yeah, we found this murder. A gentleman by the name of Ricardo Duane. I believe is the name.
Sodakin Maglite?
Sodikin.
He's the richest man in town, and he had some quarrels with some other townsfolk. One of them named Sodakin Madlight. Rickard is kind of like the de facto constable of the town, and he's been kind of helping us follow some leads. We ended up trudging through. We found a blacksmith who didn't really have anything, so then we went to a tavern because we're all hungry, and picked up a couple leads there. And then we went and investigated Ricardo's mansion. Duane. Did we rename him to Duane? Is that why I have it in parentheses?
No, Ricardo Duane was his name. You have it in parentheses because when I didn't want you to write down as it's written as Dwayne, but it's pronounced Duane. Like
Perfect.
as in like if you just said it out in normal English, it would be Ricardo Duane. But Duane sounds like he's fancier.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And so we finished up at the tavern. We went and investigated the mansion that Ricardo had, and we did find some information that said something. Let me flip the page.
Pay no
It was a
attention to the
ledger.
man
It
behind
was a
the
ledger for properties in the town, and basically showed that rent was steadily increasing on all these properties. But one of them in particular, which was a weaponsmith. There's a blacksmith in the town and a weaponsmith. And this weaponsmith had
Oh, we have a
increased at much
follower.
higher-
Thanks so much, PQRSS. Look at that. Look at that. Cantharion is so good at explaining what we did before that people want to listen to you do it more often. I think, if anything, that is a vote to the fact that you should be doing this every time.
You should make him DM.
You should be DM. I'm going to switch the cameras around right now. And you get to run the rest of the adventure.
I only do it because no one else wants to.
Hey, the last time I did it, you laughed me off.
You're our
never
leader.
doing it again. So, congrats.
It's true.
You're also the only one who takes notes, so that helps when we haven't streamed in like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Cliff
I'm giving
Note
you the
camp.
cliff notes, folks. All right.
Cliff Note camp.
These are the hits.
Can't note.
Hey, all right, I'll break it down for you. So we tried to get into the sewer, and I was too large to get in between the bars. See, I could do that, but I'm not going to. Anyway, we ended up going into the sewers outside of the mansion, chased down this mysterious figure, fought off some minions, and now we're faced with a potential killer of Ricardo Duane.
Well, Vincent and I took the back door.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
The sewer
That's awkward.
back door. What? This is ridiculous. All right, so we took the other way while they went that way. Yeah.
And you eventually
Flanking
met
them.
back up inside the sewer, and inside the sewer you found there were a couple of creatures that were inside there, large, almost like what would you say? They were like centipedes, like big old centipede like creatures that you were able to fight off.
And talk to.
You found a bedroll inside the sewer, and after you fought them off, you noticed that that mysterious man that you were chasing through the sewer has come up through the sewer grate. And
Do the monsters noise.
oh, the is the noise that the monsters made. And as you got closer, there, and they would like sneak off. So you fought off these beasts, and you find this man who is who just appears before you. As he appears from beneath that grate, he sort of comes up in this black sort of smoke like material. When you saw it before, you could tell that I'm sorry, Vincent was able to tell that he was using Misty Step. You knew that you could recognize the spell that was being cast there. And as he came up, he pulled out some sort of metal mechanism. It looked like it was 3 sort of cylinders, and he placed inside it 3 red shells. And right before, and just as you left, he said, "Thank you so much. I appreciate you helping me out there. You definitely got me out of a sticky situation." And I believe right before that, Cantharion, didn't you draw your sword?
no, I drew my sword. Cantharion's over by the bedroll.
Ah, okay. It
Yeah, I
was.
was like, oh, this is a cool bedroll, guys.
It
looks like
was.
someone's been here.
It was Venator who drew his sword. So I'm gonna say that the man turns to Venator and says, "Now, if you would be so kind, and place your weapons on the ground."
Excuse me?
He lifts the 3 barrels and points them in your direction. He says, "Did I stutter?"
What do these things look like exactly? I'm confused by what.
Out of character, they look like guns. He appears to be holding like one. Yeah, it looks like a gun, it's sort of bulkier for a gun. It has 3 barrels on it, and each barrel it's shortened so it's more like a hand cannon than it is anything else. But it shells like a shotgun. Like it opens and you put shells in it, and then it closes. Now your character may have never seen this before. In fact, I'm gonna say go ahead and make a. Is there history in 5th edition?
Yes.
Okay, make a history check for me, please.
Everybody?
Everybody but Vincent. Vincent, you recognize this as being of gnomish architecture. Okay, I'm gonna say that all of you recognize it then. You all actually rolled very well. It's going to be a
Wait,
bad day
good
for me
ones.
if I don't get to keep any secrets from you. All of you notice that it's of gnomish architecture. As to what it does, you might be able to infer that, but but it's clearly some sort of mechanism that gnomes would have created.
Looks like sprocket work to me.
He turns to you and he goes, "Oh, you got a clever one over there, don't you?"
I count 3 barrels and 5 of us. You really want to take those odds?
He reaches behind him and pulls out a second hand cannon that has 3 more barrels on it. And he goes, "I'll take my odds."
Leave it to Venator. Open his mouth.
So I figure in the time all that happened, I noticed they're talking to someone. So I'll come down and draw my sword and shield, and I'll say, "Good sir, I am Cantharion, Might of Tyr, Savior of Farendale, Dragon Slayer, and Foe of Fiends. You are pointing some sort of device at me and my companions. I suggest you drop it, and perhaps you can introduce yourself as well. We can start off as friends."
He looks to you a bit untrusting. And he says, "So, Cantharion, why don't you humor me? What are you all doing down here?"
We're investigating
Searching for the
a murder.
murderer.
Searching for the murderer. You sure you didn't just come back here to get rid of what you started?
What would that be?
He reaches down into the grate that's below him, and as he reaches down, his hand sort of like turns into that misty type stuff. And as he pulls out his hand, he's holding a bag. He tosses the bag in front of him. Do I actually have a bag here? I actually do. Hold on one second. I did plan this out. Let me change this to token layer. Let me go back to the token layer. He tosses out a bag into like the middle of the room, and as he tosses it, you can hear like there's some sort of clinking inside it. And he says, "You care to explain yourself?"
What exactly are you inferring?
He turns one of the guns to you and says, or he turns one of the devices. I don't want to call it a gun because maybe it's not. Maybe they don't call it a gun here, but it's like a gun. Like clearly that's what it's supposed to be. He turns the cannon towards you and says, "Don't play coy with me, woman. What'd you do with Ricardo?"
It seems we have a similar purpose. We are here to investigate and find the cause of Ricardo's murder.
"What is it to you?"
We were asked for help. He was dead upon our arrival.
He sort of nods and says, "All right then. Open the bag."
Wasn't he killed quite a while ago? I mean, maybe you've been down here in the sewers too long.
I'm gonna go ahead and cautiously approach the bag.
Are you gonna open it?
I might like sort of poke at it a bit.
You poke at it and it feels like there's some obviously there's something solid inside. It's impossible for you to tell what is really in there. It's like a burlap sack, but it's been waterlogged, sort of like, you know, half floating inside this sewagey area, and clearly just recently uncovered.
I'm gonna go ahead and open it.
When you open the bag, you find that inside are 3 items. There is a serrated knife, an ornate dagger, and what appears to be a blacksmith's mallet. He looks at you and says, "What's in there?"
Blacksmith's mallet. A blade. what was the other gun?
2 blades.
And a serrated knife.
A serrated knife.
Yeah. He says, I'm gonna make a... Okay. He looks at you and says, I'm only gonna ask you one more time. Did you or did you not kill him?
I did not kill him. We did not kill him.
He begins to lower the gun, and steps closer to you. He says, "In that case, you're of no use to me. I would suggest you be on your way. I have business to attend to."
Wait, we have some questions for you. What do you know of this?
Do you mean of Ricardo?
Yes.
Ricardo owed some men money.
But why would you suspect us?
I'm not suspecting you of working for him. I'm suspecting you of killing him. That man...
That's what I meant.
I saw you leaving his house. Were you there to loot?
No, we were investigating. We were asked to help.
He places one of the guns like on the sort of makeshift holster that he has on his waist. He comes closer to you and like kicks the bag to make the contents sort of like spill out onto the ground. He looks up at you again and says, "And what have you learned?"
Well, not much, actually. We saw your shadow disappearing into the grate.
He was probably killed up in his house and then dumped down here in the sewer. That's what we've learned.
And who do you
looks
think?
like those creatures that we slaughtered before your arrival were probably the ones that tore him up, tore up his corpse really bad. But it looks like there was a blow to the head and several, dozens of knife wounds, perhaps.
He looks sort of like he has to like sort of lean around Shadow to see you in the back, and he says, "And who do you think would have done it?"
And I hold up the ledger and I say, "The most likely suspect appears to be this weaponsmith who Ricardo had been seemingly waging a war against in Rent."
He says, "It sounds like it could make sense, although I find it unlikely." He
Wait,
kicks.
So
he
why
kicks
are we
the.
telling this guy all of our knowledge anyway? Who are you, man? Who are you? We introduced ourselves. Now, quid pro quo.
He looks around at the group one more time to see if he can truly trust any of you. He says, "My name is of little importance. I am a wanderer. But, if you require, you can call me Wallace."
Well, that's a start, I guess. Wallace.
He leans. He sort of like leans over. He walks over to the wall and begins to like lean against the side of the wall. He pulls out of his side like a small cigarette that he's rolled up, and he places it in between his lips. And he looks over to the gnome and he says, "You got a light?"
I'm sorry, our gnomish friend is hard of hearing. Vincent, do you perhaps have a light for our newly met friend, Wallace?
Yeah, sure. Why not? And I'll do my thing.
He sort of like snaps his fingers, and like the little spark comes out. The same spark that you tried to catch the rabbit with, that you missed, and the rabbit sort of ran off into the woods. But you do that sort of flick, and it lights up the end of the cigarette. He takes a drag on it and then blows out the smoke. The area is sort of like a closed area. It's much smaller. So you can smell the smoke, and it smells like this rich sort of gnome like a rich gnome herb. In fact, Vincent, you recognize the scent. It might not be something that you partake in yourself, but it's similar to tobacco. He takes a long drag and then blows out, and he says, I'm here to find the man who killed him. And when I do, that man will pay. He will pay dearly. I'm not one to steal, so I'm not about to take my share.
Well,
From
these appear
Ricardo's
to be the
house.
weapons that were used. So, we should start with the blacksmith's hammer, perhaps?
You work for Ricardo?
I've worked for Ricardo. I wouldn't exactly say we're presently employed right now.
Well, are you hired by someone to investigate this, or is this personal?
A little of both, you could say. Many people have wondered what happened to him. You see, he disappeared. Off the radar, if you will. He'd been making some interesting deals with people around all of Oberon. And then he shows up missing. And then his body shows up in a river. That man, out a lot of gold, shows up dead. And sure enough, I find the murder weapon and the lot of you in that same sewer and searching around his house. So I have to ask again, who do you think killed him?
I kick the tools.
He looks down and sees all the tools on the ground. He's sort of like half looking at them as if he's already sort of like inspected the bag. And he says, I can see the weaponsmith. Those engravings on that dagger match the engravings on the sword of your friends over there. And he gestures over towards Venator. But the blacksmith hammer I can't pin. And the serrated knife.
Perhaps it was a trio of murderers.
You think 3 people wanted to kill him?
I think the whole town wanted to kill him. What are you talking about? He was a scoundrel.
He laughs and takes another drag of his cigarette. He goes, I like her. She's got moxie.
What about this? I'm going to reach in my pocket, in my belt pouch, and I'm going to toss the ring to this guy.
He takes the ring and he catches it in his hands. He looks over it and he says,
Can you place this?
did this belong to Ricardo?
Found it in his house while we were searching for clues.
Sort of like runs it over in his hands. I've never seen him wear this ring before. Hold on one second. I want you to make a what's like a bluff check now. It's
Deception.
deception. I want you to make a deception check for me, please. 22. He flips the ring in his hand and he says, you found it in his house. It belongs to him.
Or it was left there by the murderer. Could be either way.
He
I found it on the
pockets
floor in his bedroom.
he pockets the ring inside of his jacket pocket and turns back to you. I could use your help.
We aren't here
Now
for.
you want our help?
The way that I see it, someone in this town took care of him. And I'm ready to take care of them.
By that, you mean bring them to the law?
I guess you
I
could
just
say
look
that.
over at Camp Therion.
We aren't here for personal gain. We have no bounty or contract. We are simply here to exact justice, as do-gooders do.
He takes the final drag on his cigarette and sort of pats it out against the back wall, and he says, But we're here for the same thing, aren't we? You want to find the man's killer. I want to find the man's killer. Do you plan to turn him over to the authorities?
We plan to see
Look
that
at
justice is served, and we tend to follow the laws of the land.
He sort of walks over to you and says, I can promise you, justice will be served. I just need you to tell me who did it.
Can I do an insight check?
Yeah. What do you want? What are you trying to know? What are you trying to figure out?
So, if he's legit, like he...
If he intends to just kill the person, right?
Well, no, I mean, it's more... So,
If he's telling the
from
truth.
my character standpoint, it's more like he isn't, like, part of this conspiracy. Like, he isn't the one who orchestrated all this.
Okay.
Like, he's been legit with us.
$23. It's pretty good. He seems sincere when he says it. That he is indeed looking for who did it. So you would gather that he probably didn't kill Ricardo. There's a chance that he could, but he seems to be pretty adamant about finding the actual person who killed him.
Okay, and then retcon me what he just asked me.
Spoiler alert! Well, not spoiler, but out of character. There actually is there is a right answer to this puzzle.
Guys, I'm not good at puzzles.
Whether you guys pick the right answer or the wrong answer is entirely up to you all. But there is a right answer to this puzzle. Back into character.
So I reach out my hand, and I say, "It seems we are following the same path, and we'd be glad to have another set of eyes to see justice sought."
He sort of takes your hand and he shakes it. You can as he touches your hand, he doesn't grab your whole hand though. He sort of grabs towards the back to make sure that you have nothing concealed under your wrist, that sort of thing. And he says, "It looks like we're at an accord. So, I'll ask you again. Who do you think did it?"
Rob, can I look at the weapons more carefully?
Yeah.
Can I actually inspect them in the bag?
Absolutely.
I say, "Well, at this point," and I hold up the ledger again, I said, "At this point, the only solid piece of evidence we have is the ledger showing that grievance between him and the weaponsmith. We know also that he had a dispute with many in the town, but in particular, Sodekin Maglite, who is a blacksmith. However, Sodekin's kind of a renowned drunk at this point. We don't believe he had the capacity to execute such a thing."
He says, "You'd be surprised at how much those drunks can pull off. I wouldn't be surprised if he was the murderer as well. So, if what you're saying is true, we can pin the blacksmith's hammer and the dagger. But what about the serrated knife? I've never seen a weaponsmith or a blacksmith use anything like that before."
What about the innkeeper?
He turns to you, sort of confused. He says, "The innkeeper. Do you have reason not to trust him?"
I don't trust anyone here in this town.
The innkeeper did essentially gain the rights to his inn from his death. There certainly is a motive there. However, I don't know how that weapon would be tied to him.
He turns to Grisham, and as you're sort of inspecting the goods from the bag there, and he says, "And what do you think? You seem like the type of person who would be able to solve this mystery."
Well, do I see anything significant that was missed about these weapons? Is there blood on them? Is there, like, what is their condition?
There appears to be blood on all three of the items. There's blood on the dagger, the knife, and the mallet. The condition is that they all the dagger and the serrated knife and the mallet appear to be well used. The dagger, not so much. The dagger appears to be pristine.
Is it
brand
ornate
new.
or anything?
It is ornate. It appears to be ornate, very similar to the sword that Venator has.
What race is this guy?
I'm gonna say that he is probably a halfling. He's probably like half human, I'm sorry, halfling's wrong. I would say like half elf is probably what he is. I don't want to say halfling. I'm imagining like he's a cocktail of races, but he's clearly not just human. But there's also something else there. It's really hard to tell what that other thing might be. I was imagining like a half human, half halfling, so a quarterling, I guess.
When he shook Cantharion's hand, I wanted to see a perception check
All right.
to see if he replanted the ring.
Okay.
In my armor.
That guy saw nothing.
You saw nothing.
I'm gonna ask Wallace. So, where exactly did you find this bag?
He sort of gestures over towards the grate that was down here, and he says, "Someone must have tossed it down there. It would fit going down. A little more difficult to pull back up.
Well,
But a
there
guy
is
like
red
me-
ball over here.
He says, I noticed that too. And used, no doubt. Whoever was down here planning that must have planned this for days.
Perhaps we could ask around town for any of the townsfolk who might have been acting strangely or missing from their usual locations about town the last couple days.
He
Well,
Is
staying
anyone
down here.
homeless?
he looks to you and says, "You know, I thought of that. But the thing is, these folk, they don't work in that way. Nothing's out of the ordinary here. Everything's so simple."
Well, these weapons, to me, at first glance, of course, it points to the weaponsmith, but that seems too easy. And yes, she probably did have a bit of motive, according to the ledger, but just as easy to pin this on her as well.
Yeah, anyone could have bought her wares.
He sort of puts his finger up and says, "Now see, there's where I think you're wrong. I don't think anyone could have bought her wares. You have to understand, had her rent truly been going up," and he gestures towards the ledger that Cantharion is holding, "she would have increased those prices. And she sells quality goods. And what good is quality goods during wartime? For folk in this town. I find it unlikely that someone were to be able to buy this, unless it was Ricardo himself. And
I'll
what
look over
good
at
would a
Venator.
dead man need for an ornate dagger with his own blood on it?"
Venator, you visited her, didn't you? Didn't you get that new sword? It's pretty shiny.
She might have records of sale.
Look, y'all have been flapping your gums long enough. I want to know what it is you have to do with this guy. Everybody in town seems to have their opinions on him, and you have been pretty tight-lipped about it. So what is it that ties you to him, and what is it that concerns you about his death?
He sort of like pushes his coat back and runs his hand through. He doesn't have a beard, but he has sort of like that stubble on his face, like he's sort of seen the world. And he looks to you. He has to sort of look over Cantharion's shoulder in order to do it. And he says, "I told you before, Ricardo owed me money. Ricardo owed a lot of men money. Guys don't just end up that rich selling property." He looks down to the bag and back up again. "Ricardo was an arms dealer. He sold on both sides, and war War was his shop. He made enemies in Mauritium, in Maricor. He didn't even do business himself. Instead, he had people doing it for him. And when people didn't pay up, well,
He called you?
sometimes people without names have things that they can help out with inside this world. And I guess that was me. But with Ricardo gone, I miss out on money that I was owed, and money in the future. So I want to know who killed him.
So instead of collecting money, you're just gonna spill blood.
He looks at you and smiles. I don't understand how that sounds weird to you, Elf. Wasn't that your job? Collect money, spill blood.
So who stands to inherit his wealth?
He says, as far as I know, Ricardo didn't have any lineage. It's not really easy to fall in love with that man.
But surely a man of his stature would have some sort of last testament.
Yeah, Ricola would be fucking great right now. I picked a terrible, terrible voice for this character.
He's doing his Batman voice again.
Dude, he's doing his Batman voice again. Where is she? He turns to you and he says, I find it unlikely that he would have anyone to give that money to. Especially when most of it's probably gone. He hid his wealth all over Oberon. But anytime that someone learns that he's dead, they're just gonna ransack the place.
But there'd still be a paper trail, you know, records, deeds, things.
If you wanted to keep records, they would. But in his line of work, do you think he wants anyone to know what he was doing?
So I hold up the ledger again, and I want to kind of skim through it. So because I kind of made an assumption, right? I made an assumption that these were tied to rents. Logically speaking, could these also be tied to payments of his?
Possibly. Possibly.
So,
The only way
yeah.
that you would figure that out is if you could match. It would take you a very long time to figure out all the names of the people in town for the properties that he owned and match those up with the people and then find all the other ones and figure out where those other ones are. It is highly likely that a guy like Ricardo, who was dealing with some shady shit, was probably laundering money through the use of sold property.
So I'll kind of hold up the ledger again and look at Wallace and say, so it's possible that these were not involved with rent, but perhaps something else entirely, perhaps something else pertaining to that effort you mentioned. I don't think we have the time or the resources to determine their exact nature, but maybe it is a scenario where everyone is suspect. We met with Rickert, who was kind of the de facto constable. Have you had dealings with Rickert as well?
I've seen the officer. But you have to understand, I only get seen when I want people to see me. I planned on you coming down here because I thought that you were in fact the ones who took care of him. And if you were, I was going to take care of you.
I just nod and I say, it seems like Rickert is one of the only people we've met in town who has any sort of relevant combat experience as well. Perhaps this is some sort of mass conspiracy.
He looks down again and says, Rickert decided that you would be the constable of this, didn't he? In the end, you're going to be the one to decide who did and did not do it. So that blood's on your hands. All I need is a name.
Well, I think we don't have a name then. I think we need to talk to the weaponsmith and find out what their dealings with him were.
We haven't fully interrogated all the suspects.
He gestures towards the bag once again and says, "You keep going back to the weaponsmith. You should probably speak with her. But I ask you again."
Then we are wasting time here.
Would be nice to get out of the sewer.
Yeah, we're not gonna find the killer waiting around in shit.
You certainly won't.
So, I'm guessing I don't have any real bearings of where I'm at in relation to everything else in the town right now.
I mean, you're in a sewer, like
It's a fair
presumably underneath the town.
Yeah, so I'll just nod at Wallace and say if you could point us in the best direction to head towards this weaponsmith. I really don't have a good concept of where we are right now.
He says, well, I would recommend you first get out of the sewer and then go to her house. Clearly, one of your friends has already seen her.
Clearly, he meant which direction in the sewer should we go to exit it?
He leans forward towards you and he says, pick one.
And I say, "Oh, okay," and I'll start walking out that way.
As you walk away, he says, "I'll see you on the dawn. I'm sure he expects you to have I'm sure he expects you to have solved the mystery by then."
I'm gonna pick up the bag of weapons and take them with me.
As you pick up the bag and you take it with you, and as you're sort of walking away, you see him like lean back against the wall. And as he leans back against the wall, he pulls that ring out of his pocket and he flicks it in the air and catches it and flicks it in the air and catches it. And he says, "I'll be waiting. You'll see me at dawn." And you're off. You
We're off to see them.
Your shite sense of direction keeps getting us in trouble. I sheath my sword.
So you're sort of like walking back through these sewers again. The sewers, the thing is, you're not hearing that clicking noise anymore. So clearly, like, whatever was in the sewer, like, chasing you down before, it's not there anymore. But you find yourself walking through the sewer and eventually, like, getting towards, like, the end of whatever canal you decide to go down, which spills out at the outside of town, and then you can end up back inside the main town square. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and put you in town square and say, at this point, it's probably like 11:30 to midnight. It's late in the evening, but it's still dark. It's dark, but like there's still some lights on in some of these buildings. What do you do?
As we're kind of like exiting the sewer, once we get, I guess, out of voice shot of the sewer so that my voice does not carry and echo back into the sewer, I kind of say in a low sort of whisper to everybody, "Look, I don't know what type of death wish you have, but this is clearly not worth the price of a fistful of apples, okay? This man was clearly a part of something bigger, and that man clearly intends to bring the rest of this shady town down with him. So pick up your sense of righteousness and set it aside, and let's get out of this town before we find ourselves a part of something bigger than you intend."
I sort of just look down for a moment, and I look back at Venator and just say, I think at this point, it's not just about justice. We only recently found out about this war, and any knowledge of people who are trying to play one side against the other could be very valuable in preventing escalation, saving numerous innocent lives. And so we've gone beyond basic justice and gone to a greater good.
So
And
you
I think
intend
that's
to end a
the path
war.
we should take.
You intend to end the war by throwing this town underneath the carriage.
No, I intend to gather information about the war so that we can better prepare for it.
Well, I don't
I
think
suggest,
this is where you.
firstly, we ought to head over to the constables.
No, I think first thing we need to get out of this town while it's dark.
I have to
I
say,
wouldn't be
agree with
opposed to
Venator.
leaving. I wouldn't be opposed to leaving. However, I also see it from Cantherian's side, and if we leave now, I do believe that Wallace fellow is going to make his own determination of guilt of the guilty party and basically just, off somebody and say that that's who it was.
That's fine.
Whether he's
That's
correct or
blood on
not.
our hands.
Do you have no scruples whatsoever?
I don't intend to be on the short end of a rope. Maybe you feel like throwing yourself at the end of that for some false sense of righteousness that you might possess, but these people are not worth my life, and I don't think they should be worth yours either. But if you intend to throw yours away like that, go ahead.
Your
Well,
life
let's just
hardly
tell-
seems threatened.
Yeah, you're clearly ignorant of the situation, and we're not listening to that man.
At this point, none of you are bound to any sort of contract. This is well beyond any sort of negotiations we've had, and I understand any reservations you might have about proceeding. At the same time, I don't see a way of abandoning this situation and still serving justice or the greater good. I cannot abandon this quest.
Well, I have this damn bag of weapons. I say that I'm going to go talk to this weaponsmith and see what they have to say. See if they recognize these weapons or blame anyone else for having these weapons. And I'm going to go from there.
Venator, if we could resolve this quickly, if we could come to a quick resolution, would that be a decent compromise? Perhaps only spend the night in this village?
There is no solving this quickly. You've already thrown your name in with that lot. They know you. They know where to find you. If something happens, they will find you, and they will get their justice.
I'm saying we gather these potential suspects and we corroborate their stories against one another and as quickly as we can decide what actually happened. I do not see a way at this juncture for us to actually determine what happened here. There's
How about
too many
this?
stories.
Venator, you go hide in the woods while we solve the problem, and we'll meet you later, perhaps.
I put my hand on Shadow's shoulder and I say, "We are being tested, we are being tried, but keep faith for as long as you can. I believe there's a greater purpose to all of this."
Tyr works in mysterious ways.
And I look back at Venator and just say, "Give us the night. There's no, logically speaking, if we do try to leave, we will bring greater harm to ourselves. We will make ourselves seem as suspects in this. And while I don't necessarily fear Wallace, I do respect the fact that he probably has deeper connections. And abandoning this quest, if nothing else, would cause a whole other mess of trouble that we may not even understand."
I hope that food is good, and for your sake, I hope that you choke on it.
I will do my best to chew thoroughly. And I'll head towards the weaponsmith.
So as you head towards the weaponsmith's shop, you see that just like before, all of the front door is barred closed, but there still appears to be a light on inside. But the curtains are drawn, just like what Venator had left before.
Did any of you guys come with me?
Yeah, did anyone go?
Yeah,
Did anyone go with
I
him?
was-
What's everybody doing?
I went.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'll just keep my
I
mouth
want
shut.
to do like the. We haven't really developed any of this stuff yet, but I'm gonna do the like look at Grisham and kind of do the like motion around,
out.
see if like he covered the back exit motion. I don't know if he's gonna
Well,
pick it
I
up.
have the
or not.
weapons. I think you should let me knock on the front door. Maybe you go around this time.
He's doing
Oh,
the
did you
motion
just say
that
that?
says
You
what
said-
he
if you
just
just say that,
said,
I'm like-
and you're like doing motions back. Like I don't get it.
Yeah, it's like a weird sports call.
Yeah,
I
it's
do
just-
like I do 4 more hand motions because I haven't quite picked up on it yet. I'm just
Cantharion just told me to steal third. I don't know. I don't
Is
know
this,
what's happening right now.
is this while we're walking that we're doing this? Or okay, well I'm just gonna be like, no, you go around. I'm not gonna play that game. I'm just like, just go to the back, man. Gonna roll my eyes.
Yeah,
at
I'll do the nod and I'll do the, and then kind of drift off that way.
I'm gonna walk up to the front door and I'm gonna tap on it firmly.
When you tap on it, you can feel that it's locked because it opens like a certain amount of way, but then it sort of stops. You hear a voice call back that says, "We're closed."
Oh, that's disappointing. You don't happen to have anything for sale right now, do you? That I could look at?
He says, or the voice calls back and says, "Sir, clearly you don't understand what the word closed means."
Well, I also had some things to sell here that I was wondering if you could take a look at and maybe appraise them for me. I was trying to stop here for the night and then leave in the morning as early as possible, probably before first light. You'd really be doing me a huge favor, and I could pay you extra for your inconvenience.
Do a persuasion check for me, please.
Oh, that
You
was
are
a 60.
not very persuasive.
Not very good. She responds back and
Candy in my
says,
van.
"Sir, if you want to buy any goods, then you'll have to come tomorrow. We are not selling anything tonight."
All right, I'm gonna take like a sprint. I'm gonna try to run my gnome body to push this door open. I'm gonna like
I see.
ram this door.
I love that. Go ahead and do an athletics check for me, please.
May I do like a counter athletics check to try and trip him and stop him from doing this?
I'm gonna leave that up to Vincent as to whether or not you can do, because normally you can't force another playable character to do something. So I'm gonna say if
Well, it would
Vincent
be-
likes the idea of you doing that, then I'm gonna say that you can roll against him for it.
Yeah, is it acrobatics perhaps?
You would be the bull rushing of a door, I think, is athletics.
Yeah.
It's there's nothing dexterous about it. You are just straight up trying to bulldoze that
You need
wall.
some strength.
So how far does he bounce back off the door? That's what I'm.
So you run full speed, like full on sprint with your little gnome body, straight at this door, and you slam into the door and then fall immediately on your ass on this front door. And it sounds like somebody knocked on the door really, really, really hard. And she responds back with, "Please, sir, I told you we are closed. I'm not interested in any of your wares that you have to sell."
All right. I kind of look over it and I'm like, okay, stop this right now, you knuckleheads. I kind of throw my voice to wherever the lady is and say, "Excuse me, ma'am, I'm the elf that you sold this beautiful sword to earlier today. And it appears as though we might be a part of something bigger, and we wanted to know if we could talk to you about certain situations that have happened in this town. It seems as though there might be somebody who may be threatening your life." And I sheath my sword.
There's a slight pause in the air, and you hear the lock slide on the door, and the door eases open, and she looks out, and she sees you, and she sees Grisham holding a bag, and she sees a gnome laying on her front porch, and she says, What is it that you're talking about?
I don't mean to threaten you, but may we come inside and talk about this in private so people will not hear our discussion?
I'd like you to take a look at these weapons that we've come across. See if you can shed some light on them.
She opens the door and looks around to see who all is out there. Who all is out there right now?
Grisham.
So it's Grisham, it's Shadow, it's Venator, and clearly Vincent. But where is Cantharion right now?
I'm at the back of the house, and I'm like pressed up as close as I can get to it, and I kind of like there's a little bit of scrapey noise when I do that because of the chainmail.
You are
The
straight
shield
up
kinda
solid
banging.
snaking the back of this house.
And I'm trying to like look in, like if there's a window, I'm trying to like pretty obviously look into it. Like if you're looking out that window, you see me because I'm just like
Okay, so here's what happens. She
Probably
opens
whispering
the
like,
door.
Guys, I'm ready.
She opens the door and looks out to look around to see if there's anybody else out there. And she says, "Come in, quickly." And as you come in, as you enter the abode, she like begins to close the door behind you and lock it. As you're entering, you can see the back window of the house, and you can see Cantharion's head in the back window of the house, like sort of sneaking in and like looking like, I'm here, guys, like I can do it. But Cantharion, you can't hear anything that's going on inside this house. She latches the door shut, and then she turns around to sort of like look at everybody. And right as she does that, Cantharion's head sort of like dips out of the way.
I have to apologize. We have another moron friend in the backyard who, I don't know, maybe he felt threatened by you or something. Don't mind him. He's harmless.
She's sort of like, let me see. Let me actually put you guys on here as to where you're at. Hold on 1 second. Let me get you guys. Let's get Grisham, and let's get, who else do we have here? Cantharion is like back here by the window, and then let's get Venator and Vincent and Shadow. Okay, so these are the lot of people that are inside this house right now. She looks to you and says, "What do you mean your friend's in the back?"
Well, as I said, we came in light of some information, and now this lot that I'm with has decided that they wanted to play detective and try and figure stuff out. But I wanted to talk to you again personally, having already discussed with you before, so I don't want you to feel threatened by my associates' behavior.
She looks around at a lot of you and says, "Well, I certainly don't feel threatened. But I have to say that I'm concerned that you would come to my house with this news."
I look at Shadow, and I say, "Shadow, can you, if you don't mind," I say to the lady, "if you don't mind, Shadow, can you go get Cantharion's dumbass and bring him over here so he stops freaking everybody out and draws attention to the building?"
She
Yes.
leans out towards the hallway to look down towards the window, and she can see like Cantharion's head just like dip out of frame like really quick.
Oh man, I had other plans, but am I inside
I guess
too?
Yeah,
going to
you're
the
inside.
window
You're
would
inside
be
there.
The easiest.
I mean, unless you didn't want to come inside.
I was gonna wave my little gnome hands, acting like I'm in danger, to Cantharion. See if he can get the. I don't know what he sees. Like I don't know what he sees inside, but yeah.
He sees like the lot of you speaking with her.
Oh, never mind. It won't work. All right.
I'm gonna dump this bag out on the counter.
Okay, I didn't pull the bag onto here. I guess I could go get it, but I'm just not even gonna get it. We're just gonna say that you dump it like right there. As you dump out that bag, she sort of like looks up to you and looks back down, and she says, "What is it that I can actually help you with?" You
Have you
notice
seen
that
these weapons?
she's wearing a lot of clothing. She's wearing like a traveling garb. like sort of like an overcoat over the top of her sort of doublet. And it looks like she was planning on going somewhere.
I want to look at her boots, Rob. What do her boots look like? Are they covered in poo?
Her boots are, in fact, wet. Probably covered in dirt, but not covered in poo.
My boots are covered in poo.
Her boots are covered in poo, and she's a little concerned as to why why the lot of you is trailing poo inside of her house.
Do you live here, or do you have a residential area?
She says, "I have living quarters in the back." Why are you looking to rent?
Oh, no, not right now. Have you ever seen these items before?
She looks to the items. If you like splay them out like on the countertop, and she says, "I recognize that dagger."
Do you know who it belonged to?
It belonged to me. I made it.
Well, who did you sell it to?
She walks over and she picks it up, and as she's like sort of running her hands over it, she can feel that it's like filthy. But her wares are all unique. The intricacy of the artwork on them is all very unique. So she says, "I don't recall selling this one."
Convenient. Okay, what about the hammer?
She looks at the hammer and says, "I don't recognize this at all."
Do you have a hammer that you use? Can you show it to me?
She nods, and she sort of walks off into the back. She picks up her own hammer, which also appears to be like of the fine quality, and sort of presents it to you and says, "What's this all about anyway?"
Well, it's believed that these are the murder weapons of whoever was the slayer of Ronaldo. Ricardo?
Ricardo. Ronaldo's a better name. I should have named him Ronaldo. That's a really good one. So she takes the hammer like from your hands and says, "So let me get this straight. You think I killed him, didn't you?"
Well, the evidence does point to you, but we're trying to get an honest, or at least an initial reaction from you. And so far, you're quite honestly not convincing me, woman.
She sighs, looks down at the dagger, and looks back up to you and says, "Well, I can tell you, I didn't kill him. He deserved to die, but I didn't kill him. I could have killed him, but I didn't kill him."
Was he wasn't by chance pressuring you or anything like that, was he? Like he was so many other people in town?
She tosses the mallet down on the table and like sort of walks off, sort of looking like away from you towards the wall at like this. There's like this picture that's on the wall, like this ornate sort of like painting, that appears to be like a unique original painting, that's lit by candlelight, and she looks over it and she says, "That bastard deserved everything that happened to him. I didn't kill him, but sometimes I wish I could have. I wanted him dead. He deserved it."
You're not really making yourself seem more innocent.
She turns back to you and she says, "Innocence? Is innocence what I want? Does it matter? I won't be in this town tomorrow."
How about you tell us what you want, and I don't think you'll be going anywhere until you do.
She looks down at the ground and says, "I want to be with my love. That's all I ever wanted." Was
Vague
just-
much?
She looks up to you like over her brow, and says, "Tell me, do you think it's fair to be forced out of your home because someone sees you as different? Do you think it's fair to have your rent raised 3 times because someone doesn't care for the way that you live your life?"
So at this point, I saw the hammer thrown, right? So I'm like, I better get in there. So I run back around the house, weapons drawn, and I want to try to bash in the door.
The door is locked, but it's not like a really good lock. Go ahead and make an acrobatics check for me, please.
For athletics, right?
Yeah. A 10. I'm gonna say that you kick the door, and as you kick the door, it sort of like breaks a little bit, and it takes you a couple of kicks before you're finally able to bust the door open.
And with that first kick, I'm like, "Hold, friends, I'm coming!"
And she, as you're sort of busting down the door, she looks over to Venator and says, "I take it that's your friend?"
Friend is a very strong word.
And as you say that, the door sort of flies open, and Cantharion appears.
I sigh loudly and I reach for my coin purse to pay for the door.
I'm just panting, and I'm like, "Back from my friends, you fiend! I am Cantharion, the mighty."
Cantharion. Hold,
Yes.
hold. It's okay. She's not a fiend, and we're not being threatened.
And do
We're
you
just
mean to bring the whole town
interrogating
down
her?
on us?
I look around, make sure I can't. Do I see anything in the darkness of the corners of the room?
There's really no darkness inside. It's all
Okay, I
like
look around the room and see no darkness, and slowly sheath my blade and say, "You are on thin ice, madam. What is your name?"
You can call me Faith. And she responds
I
with,
just nod and like look for.
she
a chair
responds
to sit
with-
down. I'm just like,
"And you are on thin ice as well, Cantharion. I needed that door."
I just kind of like look down and I'm like,
You look down, and as you look down, you see like half of the door.
and I
Try to,
just
like, put it
I
back up.
barely like I look like just up to her eyeline and I say, I am very sorry. I saw. Doesn't matter. I will. And I like.
Begin trying to put the door back.
I'm like I like push it, like, clean it up as best I can, and then like reach down. I think I don't know if I have a concept of a price of a door, so I'm just like I get out 10 gold pieces, and I'm
She
just
she just sort of closes her eyes and shakes her head, and says, "I'm sorry. Where were we?"
What about this weapon? Have you seen this? Do you know where this came from? I point at the serrated knife.
She says, "No, absolutely not. I would have no use for that."
What is this sort of knife typically used for? You're a weaponsmith, so who uses this sort of thing?
She sort of chuckles. She says, "I'm a weaponsmith. This is not a weapon. This is just a normal kitchen tool."
Well, what do you know of the blacksmith across town? Does he make this stuff?
She says, "Maglite? He wouldn't make tools of this stature. The man's quality is low, but as is expected of a drunkard. No,
Then-
Well, could he have possibly purchased his tools? Or what about his son? Does his son make weapons too?
his son is shy of an apprentice, but I suppose he might practice on his own. This is not weaponry, though. This is
there
a mere
anyone
tool."
in town who would have motive against you to frame you for murder?
She says, she looks to you, and she doesn't like your tone. And when she looks at you, she says, "The only person who would want to frame me for murder is Ricardo himself."
So you're saying he killed himself to frame you?
I find it unlikely, half-elf, that he killed himself to frame me for murder.
Well, this is ridiculous. We're getting nowhere with these questions. Cantherion, what's your plan? I'm running out of patience.
Faith, I apologize once again.
Enough
for-
about the door.
Fair enough. You said this was a kitchen implement, correct?
I said you would probably find it in a kitchen. I
What?
don't know if it's a kitchen implement. I'm not much of a cook myself. I have someone else to do that for me.
What of Edith, the town baker? Would she have some motive against you or Ricardo?
Against me? No. Ricardo, though. Now you might be onto something. You heard her story, right?
I believe she mentioned her husband had developed horse cough, but I wasn't sure how that was related to Ricardo.
Oh, come on, she's like 90 billion years old. Are you telling me she killed him?
I haven't ruled out anything.
She
Maybe we should
gestures
start ruling
towards
things
uh,
she
out
gestures
so we get
towards
on with
Grisham and says, "He is right. She is like 90 billion years old."
Okay, look, y'all are worse than an ant circle. Let's just get to the point. This man is dead. Apparently, he was double dealing on the side, and now his people want to know why he's gone. Apparently, he was in a lot of, he was in a hype situation with a lot of money, and now those lines, those cash flows, are no longer in existence because he's been ousted. So we want to know who would have motive to kill the man so that we can do something with that person. So if you have any information, please provide it. And if you did do it, well, you might want to get out of town as soon as possible.
She says, "I plan to get out of town as soon as possible, but I will tell you that I didn't do it. If I did do it, I probably wouldn't tell you that I did it. Now would I?"
No,
Then
that's
why
a
are
very
you leaving?
point.
She says, "I told you before, I don't belong here. I belong somewhere else."
Don't
Good.
we
I
all?
think
So why are
we
you
also
leaving?
go somewhere else.
She says, "I have someone waiting for me. The
The
very person who's
constable,
waiting for
If
me."
you don't give us better answers than this runaround pussyfooting shit.
She says, "The very person who is waiting for me is the very reason why Cantherion is the very reason why Ricardo chose to raise my rent, the very reason why I was forced out of this place, and the very reason why I would have any reason to kill him. Look, it's not up to me. I'm leaving because I belong somewhere else."
So your logic makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. So your landlord raises your rent to get you to leave when you want to leave, and so you have a motive to kill him for it?
She says, "I didn't want to leave. I did not want to leave, but he would not let Reyna stay here."
And who is Reyna?
She says, "My wife."
What did he have against this Reyna?
She's a woman.
Is he not good with women?
She looks down and places her hand inside of her head, or her head inside of her hands, and says, "I don't think you are quite understanding what I'm getting at here."
But you're betrothed. I understand. That is Reyna, your wife. But what quarrel would he have with your wife?
Ricardo didn't appreciate my preference of mate.
Well, who is he to choose who you mate with?
The landlord. The owner of the property.
So where is she, anyway?
Reyna's in Strathford, which also happens to be on the side of on the side of Maricor's lines. And when battle is drawn, she can't come back. She couldn't live here because Ricardo wouldn't allow her to live here. So now I am to leave.
Why didn't you just find another town to reside in?
She sort of points around you and says, I purchased this shop. Do you realize how difficult it would be to just turn up and leave?
If you truly loved your wife, I don't find it would be difficult at all.
She says, I don't like your tone.
I hold up my hands and I say, Faith, while your tale is an unfortunate one, I would not advise leaving at this time. There is a man named Wallace who is also seeking who may have killed Ricardo, and at this point, your name is probably at the top of his list. It would be in your best interest to help us resolve this as quickly as possible for your safety as well.
She says,
And
I
he-
appreciate your concern, but I'll take my chances on the road.
Can I insight
This
her?
man is seeking blood, vengeance, not law, not justice. So
Yeah, so
you
why
would
do
be
you
facing
all
his
intend-
blade in the middle of the night.
She responds with, as I said before, I will take my chances.
Can I insight her to
scoop the
see if
weapons
she's,
back up,
she's
put 'em in a
genuine
bag.
about, like, the only reason she's leaving is her wife?
Yeah, you certainly can.
I think her story checks out. Honestly, I think we should carry on.
Yeah, I think
You gather that if she's lying, she is a very good liar.
I just kind of shake my head and I say, your business is your own, but I would at least advise waiting through the night. We will come to some sort of resolution by then, and I fear if you do leave, you will become suspect number 1 on his list.
She says, I appreciate your advice. Now, if you would, please leave.
Do you have a list of people who might have had access to this little dagger of yours?
She says, the only way someone would have gotten this, and had it not been purchased, would be if they stole it.
Well, what thieves would you suspect in this town?
If they were a good enough thief, I wouldn't know of them, now would I?
She's right.
Yeah.
So you
no
were
sense-
completely unaware of this missing from your stores?
She says, I have a lot of weapons. I very well may have misplaced it. Perhaps I didn't even know it was stolen. If it was gone, it only could have possibly been gone for a few days. Once a week, I check my wares.
When was the last time you did?
She looks up and says, about 4 days ago, I would say.
It's a long time for it to have been missing. Anyone could have taken it by then.
It is
Sorry for
possible.
disturbing you, good lady. I'm gonna take the bag and I'm gonna walk out and I'm gonna head for the tavern route, so the rest of everyone can continue on or whatever.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. What's everybody else doing?
I'm gonna go because there's no sense in beating a dead horse, right, Venator?
But eating a dead horse.
Venator might.
It is
feel
because
into-
I have food that I'm not caught up in this stupid mess that you all
Oh
got
yeah,
yourself
I
into.
forgot that we're doing this for rations, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope that bag of food is really good.
Looks like it's gonna be magic protein for us going forward because I got no clue.
So,
All right. As we're kind of walking out, like I'll follow.
What's this wee business, Kimosabi?
Right. I'll follow Grisham out, and as we're walking out, just look at him and say, I don't have any thoughts at this point. At this time, all I can think is to head back to Rickard and ask if he has any other insight or any other thoughts.
Or at least
Well,
to
I
bring him
take
what
it-
information we have.
I want to talk to the I want to talk to the innkeeper again. He was the one who actually gained something almost instantly from the death of this guy, and the blacksmith seems too drunk and too stupid to probably come up with a plan like this.
And
Or
he
at
could
least
have
if he
easily
would have,
misplaced his hammer.
if he would have come up with a plan, it would have been like, I mean, he would have been standing there, dumbstruck with the weapon still in his hand, most likely. So I want to talk to the innkeeper one more time and see what his reaction is to these weapons, and then go from there.
Sure.
As they're leaving, I just want to be the last one to leave, and I want to look at Faith and ask her, do you have a horse, a very fast horse?
She says, "No, I don't."
I think I can help you with that. And as the party leaves to go to the inn, I lead her to the stables where our horses are.
Okay.
And I kind of look over the 4 horses that we have remaining. 3 horses and a pony. And I kind of size them up, and I look at them and figure out which one the fastest one is, and I offer it to her.
Okay. This is interesting.
Well, and my spiritual horse is there too.
Is
do-
it though?
Do
I
any
can't
of you
unsummon it?
do any of you see this happen?
I'm not sure. Now I know that my horse was the fastest. If it's the same one that we originally got back in
It
the
would be
first-
Grisham's horse that was the fastest.
because I actually wrote that down.
Um,
My
I'll
horse
give
sees
her
it.
Cantharion's horse.
the astral steed?
No. His physical form horse. The one that
Okay. The big one. Okay. Everyone make a perception check for me and see if you see him doing this.
Well, how would they see me doing this?
I mean, I don't know, like how sneaky are you? Like, well, I'm gonna say like, let's not
We
say that if
hadn't
they see
really
you doing
all
this,
the way
it's
left.
do they see that you did not go with them to the tavern
See,
originally?
I'm not even gonna make that check. For my character, I'm just so used to Venator walking off on his own and doing his own thing. But I
Okay.
don't know if my horse would again, it's intelligent for a horse, but it's still not like brilliant, obviously.
Okay, I'm gonna say that Shadow and Grisham definitely noticed that when you go to the tavern that
I want to argue that because Shadow's the one who told me to piss off. So I don't see why she would have any interest in me leaving anyway, or would have noticed me leaving.
I'm
And
not
Grisham-
saying that she's
I might have
noticing you
noted
leaving.
it.
I'm saying that she notices that you are not with them when they are at the tavern.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
I also noticed, but Rob, I do not care. So even though I rolled a nat 20, I don't
Okay.
care.
So it's
see,
not like
I
they
see.
don't know what you did. They just
Gotcha.
know that you are not immediately with them.
Okay. Okay.
So you take her to that horse and you give her the horse and you tell her to go.
Yes.
Okay. She takes the horse. She says, "Thank you. I hope to see you again."
Is she leaving all of her weapons and stuff behind?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But you don't know that?
she has like a- she has like
Venator
a-
would know that?
She has like a bag of goods that she brought with her, but then she sort of like rides off, and you can see her riding off into the
Yeah,
night.
there's no lock on her door.
And she's got, well, she doesn't have a fucking door anymore.
Yeah, there's no
Um,
door.
She rides off into the night, and she is gone. So that is one less suspect. I didn't see that happening. Okay. So
And neither did Cantharian.
you guys,
Yeah, my horse doesn't
Why does every
speak common.
session revolve around horses? I don't understand
So-
what's going on with this campaign.
So can my horse be like, huh, that's weird, a horse is leaving?
yeah, but does your horse speak like English?
Well, no, but like someone
It
hasn't seen
telepathically-
before walks off with a horse. Like, it's intelligent enough to know people, right?
Yeah.
So
I think you can horse whisper to it, can't
Yeah,
you?
he's a Cantharion the horse whisperer.
Telepathically.
That's what I'm saying. Like, can't my horse at least be like, hey, someone just took one of our horses to me telepathically?
I don't think a horse is that smart. I mean, horses are like the
It's-
dumbest animals on the
Right,
face of
but
the
it's-
planet.
It's,
They are freaking dumb.
So listen, though, my spell makes it an intelligent enough creature to speak a language, right, and convey basic thoughts.
Okay,
So,
then I
like-
would say that your horse would probably say that, you know, oh, I see someone. And now I don't see them anymore.
Like someone weird just ran off. Because remember, I told him to protect the horses at one point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like,
All right, yeah. If that's what your horse does, then I would say that yeah, he probably relays that information.
I don't imagine it being like, oh look, Faith just took one of our horses. I imagine it being like, that's weird. Someone just rode off with one of our
Hey,
horses.
boss, horse is gone.
Hey, boss, horse is gone. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's what you hear. You hear the horse go. Hey, the horse is gone.
And I like try to like hit him back, and I'm just like, what horse?
The big one, sir.
And I'll like,
Nay,
so I
a
imagine
little.
this is kind of
Nay,
like,
sir.
So like we're on the way to the inn. Like we probably have either gotten to the inn or we're close to it, right?
Yeah, I would say you got there.
So I'll kind of like nod at the others and say, Strider is telling me something happened to one of our horses. I'm just gonna go investigate real quickly,
Sure, that's fine. I got this.
and I'll head off in the direction of the stables.
So you head off in the direction of the stables. Grisham, you enter the inn, and when you enter the inn, you notice that there's not really much going on. The barkeeper's sort of like cleaning off that bar, and he says, "Oi, it's good to see you again, Grisham."
So I have a question for you. I'm gonna take that bag, that nasty, stanky bag, and I'm gonna slam it on his counter.
You slam it on the counter,
Right on
and he
the
sort of
bar.
leans back and he says, "What's that for? Don't you see I was just cleaning here?"
I'm gonna like slowly like drag the end of the bag off of the weapons so they all come out. I want to gauge his reaction to the weapon.
Go ahead and roll a perception check for me, please.
Like a dead stare at him the whole time you're doing it.
You place the weapons on the table on the bar top, and as you sort of present them forward, he looks surprised whenever like the weapons are revealed, and he says, "Grisham, what the hell are you doing here?"
You seen these before?
He says, "No, what good would I have for any of this?"
Well, these are the murder weapons. And you are the one who gained the most, and the most quickly, from his death. And I'm trying to be pretty intimidating here, too. I'm turning on the kind of thuggishness.
He sort of leans back and he says, "Whoa, hold on a second. You think I did it? You think that I killed him?"
I think it's a damn good possibility.
He sort of like shakes his head and says, "I don't think I have the capacity to kill anyone." Oh, now people are just typing in chat as opposed to speaking.
Yeah, well,
like
no,
normal.
I was just telling him his mic was on.
You're right, because I'm not in the room with you. I went off
I
the
was like
stable.
distracted, like.
I am at the stable.
He says, "Grisham, I don't have the capacity to kill anyone. What is it that you're trying to insinuate here?"
I'm just trying to figure
my-
out who murdered this guy.
He says, "And I respect you trying to figure that out, but
Have you
me?"
ever seen this knife?
He looks at the
I'm
knife
picking
and he
up,
says,
like, pointed in his face.
"Absolutely not. What good would that be to me?"
Insight. I'm not there. I'm sending vibes.
Meanwhile, Cantharion makes it back to the back to the stable, and you're looking at all the horses, and you're like counting them, and you're like, 1, 2, 3, pony. 1, 2, 3, pony. And then you like count on your fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, pony. 1, 2, 3, pony. 1, 2, 3, 4, pony. 1, 2, 3, pony. 1, 2, 3, 4, pony. And you're like, we're missing a horse. Like a horse is definitely not there anymore. Back
I
to the
wanna try
back
to, like,
to the
look
tavern.
around to see if I can see like see if I can see horse tracks.
Yeah, you see horse
Leading
tracks,
away
and they are
from the
leaving.
stables.
They are leaving the town. Like they are
It's
like,
stables, man.
yeah. There are horse
taste the
tracks
dirt.
everywhere.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
use my expert knowledge in survival and to try to track the freshest horse tracks there are.
You definitely notice that there are fresh horse tracks that are leaving the stable.
Crafty bastards. They went that way and that way.
I'll send. No, there's nothing I can do about this. So I look at the tracks and kind of see where they lead off. Do I have any concept of like what town they're heading to or anything like that?
No, you have no idea because you don't even know where you are right now. Like you didn't even know where Doncaster was on the map.
Well,
Presumably-
we found the road sign.
Presumably, it's headed towards Lakeshire.
Okay. Yeah, because we found that road sign that was like Doncaster, Lakeshire, Mauritius. Or no, did it have Doncaster on it?
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, it had the 3 towns on it, right? So I can tell like what direction Lakeshire and Mauritius are.
Yeah.
Did it head that way?
It headed towards Lakeshire, towards Mauritius. Back to the tavern.
Anybody in
Yeah,
here with me?
I think I might be mounting up and riding
I'm with
after
you.
it.
I think that there's no one else in here with you.
I was following him.
I mean, other
I
than
didn't
the
say
the
anything.
collective party. I don't think there's any other NPCs inside.
Oh,
this
that's what I
bar.
meant. Is
Oh.
anybody in the party with me? That's what I meant.
Yeah, I followed you.
Yeah, everyone but me and Joe, I assume. Me and Venator.
I don't know. This was just kind of like a last ditch thing because Grisham is fed up with this whole scenario. He wants to leave. He gave Wallace that ring. He doesn't really want to encounter Wallace again, and so I want to be done with this whole scenario. So I was hoping to get a reaction from the barkeeper, but I didn't really zero in on anything. So I'm kind of done. I got nothing.
He says, he looks at you and he says, Grisham, are we done here?
We would like to know if you've seen anything suspicious.
He says, suspicious? You mean like a guy getting killed or something?
I
What
roll
what
my
sort of
eyes
suspicion? What sort of
inside.
suspicions are you looking for? There be suspicious people everywhere.
Okay, we have
Maglight's
someone
suspicious.
Who supposedly has stolen the weaponsmith's dagger and stolen the blacksmith's hammer and has a serrated knife, presumably stolen from someone with a kitchen.
He says, if anybody had a kitchen, it'd probably be Edith. I have a kitchen here, but I have no use for a serrated knife.
You all did it together, didn't you?
He says,
The whole damn town got
he
together.
says,
lynched
I
the guy.
told you already I don't have the capacity to kill somebody.
And who would?
He says, now how would I know? How does that concern me at all? What good is it for me to know
Don't
the type
you
of
know
person that would kill
everyone in
anyone?
this town?
Look, he looks at you and he says, you probably have more capacity to kill anybody in this town than I do. How many people have you killed?
It's about to be one more.
He says, I have half a mind to call the constable in here.
Please do.
I'm
Or
gonna,
don't you have
tiptoe.
balls?
I'm gonna tiptoe out the door a little bit. Just try to inch my way away from the situation.
That appears to be escalating.
Yeah, very quickly. Yeah.
I'm gonna look at his boots, Rob. Does he have poo on his boots?
Whoever has the food.
His boots are completely pristine. They are not dirty, and they don't appear to be wet at all. Like he hasn't left the tavern really, like ever.
What was his name?
The barkeep, I forget what we named him.
Someone
It
with
started
R.
with an R.
Probably something with an R.
I'm gonna put the weapons back into the sack.
Have you noticed anyone who may have been homeless or acting or just missing that you hadn't seen in a while?
He says, I don't know anybody who would have been homeless or anybody that would have been missing. I reckon if anybody killed him, they're probably from this town. They probably live here, and they probably had reason to kill him.
Well, about everyone in town had a reason to kill him, including yourself.
Doesn't that create quite the predicament? It's almost like it's a puzzle. I didn't actually say that out of
I blame
character.
Joe.
It's
I blame
almost like
Joe
it's a
for this.
puzzle.
I don't know why. So I wanna mount Strider and just ride, because at this point, not only am I really confused on what to do, but someone just took one of our friggin' horses and I have no way to get it back. So I'm like, Canterion's just like going berserker mode at this
Just to
point.
plant a seed of doubt. How do you know I didn't take the horse and leave?
I don't. Well, no, because Strider was like some random person just took a horse.
He didn't notice that you were gone. He didn't even roll the
So
check.
he didn't notice that I was
Yeah,
with
no. I'm not saying I'm going after you. I'm taking Strider and I'm riding it straight to the constable, like where we know he is, like his place. 'Cause
Okay.
I need to tell him everything we know, and be like, we did everything we could, essentially.
Oh, so you just want to go to the next day?
No, well, is that the only? Oh, because he said meet me at dawn.
Yeah.
Wait, no, the constable said meet you at dawn?
Yeah, the constable
Or-
also said meet me at dawn.
I thought Wallace said meet him at dawn.
No, Wallace said you will see me at dawn.
Everything's happening at dawn?
Wallace knows. Wallace wants to see. Out of character. Wallace wants to see whoever killed him, because Wallace
Is
plans
there-
to take care of it.
Is there a large-ish? So relative to all the other buildings, is there something bigger than a standard dwelling that we have not visited in this tiny town?
There are like other buildings and other places that you haven't visited. Yes,
So like we've been.
but there's
to the
nothing.
baker.
There's nothing that's like really big. You've never been to the baker's place.
Oh, we didn't talk to Edith. I
No,
thought we talked to Edith.
come on, guys. It's a standard
I wrote down that
mystery.
we talked to Edith. I don't know.
You went from going into the town, talking to one person, going straight to the sewer, and then going up to the weaponsmith.
It is a
Now you're back.
It is a standard mystery.
Well, I am bad at mysteries.
It's okay.
Cantherion
So
solves
she's the
things with
baker?
his sword, not with his mind. That's why there is the eyes of Tyr and the heart of Tyr. They figure that crap out.
Edith is the baker.
Edith is the baker. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And her-
But she's
and her
also, like,
husband
In her
died of
90s or
cough.
something.
I thought because she was all sad about it. We seriously didn't talk to her.
You did not talk to her. You heard her story from the barkeep, or Grisham did,
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
and he said that's a sad story.
Are you getting her confused with another Edith from another Dungeons and Dragons group that you might be
Nope.
watching?
Edith was an old woman
No, not
who.
you, Chris.
Right? I don't know. No, I just thought we talked to her.
Edith was an old woman who, her husband had horse cough, and in order to pay for his medicine, they could barely get by. And then when he raised the rent, they weren't able to pay for the medicine, and so her husband passed away a week ago.
Yeah. At this point, so yeah, I don't do any of that. I'll just head back to the inn and just sleep, because my brain hurts. Cantherion's and mine.
So what's it gonna be, guys?
Okay.
You
so
can give up on the hunt if you want to, and I can make it
the-
dawn.
the bartender, right? The unnamed R guy that they're arguing with.
We named him. I just don't remember what we named him.
Just mentioned Edith. What was I don't remember what like was said. Like I don't.
Yeah,
recall
he mentioned Edith when they asked
mentioned that she
who
had
would
a
have a
kitchen.
kitchen. He said Edith would have a kitchen.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
good.
Well then, the last piece of the puzzle is there's three things, just three clues. There's one left we have not checked up on, so I guess I'm just gonna walk out the door. I'm gonna look for what would a bakery look like?
If you looked around, there's probably like a shop that has like a little muffin.
You're gonna go without saying anything?
Yes. And is there any way I can see Cantharion?
You probably
Yeah,
see
if I walk
Cantharion like
back this
riding
time,
up.
Let's see him riding up. Okay. I'm gonna kind of like motion to him to like come here.
Oh, I get jacked up. I'm like, all right. Like I do
Yeah.
the big nod, and I'm just like,
All right, I'm just gonna
He's
power walk.
telling you to steal third.
Yeah. I'm just gonna power walk right up to the muffin shop. All right, with Cantharion, hopefully following me, right?
Okay.
All right. And I'm gonna knock first. I'm gonna knock. Let's give it a knock.
And when you knock, you can see that the door sort of opens up. As the door opens, you see this right here. So the door sort of creeps open, and a woman is sort of like, you know, walking. She's hunched over, and she has like a little cane. But she's walking as she gets towards the table, and she says, "Oh, it's not every day that we get visitors this late. What can I help you with, sir?"
Do you have any tools missing, perhaps?
She says, "Tools missing? By what do you mean?"
Maybe, I don't know, a rolling pin, a knife, you know, something along those lines.
She says, "Oh, hold on, 1 second." And she gives you like this one little finger, and then she sort of like moves.
I'm gonna roll my eyes at Cantharion.
She like
Taking
she
forever.
starts like sifting through like a whole bunch of stuff on her table, and she says, "Oh, my knife! My knife appears to be missing indeed. Did you bring it back, boy?" And she
We
like
did find a knife, yes.
she walks back.
and I do this to Vincent. I'm like,
He tells you to steal third again.
Can I look at her boots? Does she have shit on her boots?
Yeah, it's a thing.
She does not have shit on her boots. No.
Okay. All right, and I'm gonna tell her, I'll be right back.
She says, "Oh, okay."
So I'm just gonna walk all the way over to the inn or whatever, the bar area,
Okay.
and just tell them to come with me. Both
So-
of them.
as he walks out, I'm walking with him, and I'm like, I think this is a great idea, and I'm gonna start knocking at every single door in town
Oh my
and
god.
asking them if they did it.
This is the last
Yep.
piece.
This is it.
That we
This
have.
is what I got.
Cantharion makes it like 2 houses before somebody like finally yells out, like somebody from down the street just yells out, "Go to bed!"
And yeah, I'm gonna say, bring the tools. Let's go. I don't care what they're yelling about at the time. They're probably still yelling.
Are you trying to bring him back to the
Yes,
to the
I'm trying to
baker?
drag them
Okay.
to the last piece.
I'm also looking for poo prints as I go to these houses.
You see none. Actually, you see poo prints everywhere because everything's sort of pooey.
I'm gonna leave with him and take the tools, but I'm gonna very sort of guiltily apologize to the barkeep. Sorry about your counter.
As you take the
I hope
tools
it
away,
washes clean.
he looks at you and he doesn't like his gaze does not leave your face, and he just starts wiping the countertop that you had placed them on.
All right, I take it that you guys are gonna follow me.
Yeah, I'll follow you.
So I'm gonna march right back. I guess we're gonna eyeball. Cantharion's knocking on doors.
Yeah,
Right.
Cantharian's not here right now. He's knocking on
Like this.
doors.
So we're gonna walk back
Really,
into the old
Victor, you
lady.
think the old woman did it? Come on, man.
I hear Cantharion knocking on doors, and I go to seek out wherever he is.
And I'm like, Candygram.
I'm just saying that we've checked everywhere, and this is the last step. She's an old lady and all, but I mean, It's like the perfect thing, you know? Just the old lady did it.
As you walk back in, she says, "Oh, welcome back. What can I do for you?" She
Need
says,
rations
"It's a
for
bit
about 7
late,
days."
isn't it?"
Say it again, Grisham.
We need rations for about 7 days travel.
She says, "Oh, I think I can help. 7 days, though. It's hard to keep bread good on the road for 7 days."
Or whatever you got that'll hold for 5 to 7 days would be fantastic.
She sort of like, she says, "Oh, okay. Hold on 1 second. Let me get it ready for you."
I'm gonna ask for the knife. I'm gonna motion like, give me the knife.
What do you want that for?
She confirmed that she's missing a knife.
Oh, you're gonna plant it on her. Okay, I got it.
Oh,
I hand it to her.
okay, all right. I'm gonna take it.
It's not the old lady. I'm telling you. There's no
I've
way.
gone from knocking on the door since no one's answering to peeking in the windows again. I'm peeking in all the windows.
As you peek in the windows, you see just like a bunch of people sleeping, and occasionally like somebody will like roll over and be like, like a daughter will go like, "Daddy, there's a monster outside," and then the dad's like, "Oh no, there's not a monster outside." And they both look up and they see your little head like peeking inside, and "Oh, son of a bitch, you god damn it!" And they like run towards the back door. A good like 5 minutes later, she comes back and she says, I've gathered it. Here you go. Here, I believe this is what you're looking for."
All right, I'm gonna take out the
How
knife. Oh, go ahead first. That's probably better.
How much do we owe you for this? Or how much? Is it only for me, or did I assumed it was only me who asked for it.
She looks in the bag and she says, "I would take 10 gold pieces.
10?
You have to understand, things have changed here."
The price has changed.
Wait, what's
That's pretty
What's
high.
Venator
for
doing?
some-
I was
but-
trying to go after Cantharion, but I don't know if I can catch him.
She says,
That's fine.
I am sorry. I am not the merchant that my husband was."
Well,
where's
here,
your husband? Yeah.
lady? Take this.
What
Give
is...
her the 10 gold.
Where is Edith the baker? Her husband's name was Geo. She says, I do apologize. With Geo's passing, it's become quite difficult. She like presents you with the bag, her hands shaking.
I take it and I sling it over my shoulder. How big is it? Or put it in my backpack, whatever.
It's not really big. It's more like, it's like 7 sweet rolls kind of things.
Alright, I'll throw them in my backpack while Victor does whatever Victor's doing.
Or
I'm
Vincent.
going-
I still don't believe it. There's no way. Or Vincent.
I'm going to, yeah. I'm gonna ask the old lady if she has any enemies, or maybe some like menaces to the the neighborhood or whatever they would be at the time.
She says, "I don't keep enemies, son. When you hold curses like that, it will rot you from the inside. I choose not to.
I'll
I would assume that you're talking about Ricardo. Are you not?"
yeah.
She sort of nods and says, "I heard what happened to him. It was sad. I believe he deserved it. But death, none of us truly deserve to die.
I'm gonna
It
say,
was his fault that Geo died, but I would never have wished death upon him."
Is this your knife?
She nods and she says, "Oh yes, that is mine."
And it's got his blood on it.
She said, "What do you mean?"
We found this knife. I'm not going to say anything about the other weapons, but with his blood on it, is there any reason why I would have left your bakery?
Oh dear. Well, I just. Well, someone must have taken it. And she looks at you and she says, "No. No, you don't. Son, I struggle with getting down the stairs. You don't think that I would have."
Can I like see if I can get, like, detect some magic?
Yeah, you can do an Arcana check.
Okay, hang on.
Can I do a perception check?
Yep.
Everyone do all the checks.
Just,
Check. 1 2 1 2. Check. Nope.
I want to do an acrobatics check.
you do
Too
not
bad.
notice anything in particular of this area, and you do not notice anything magical inside this house.
You crit rolled and crit failed in the same roll.
Yeah,
It's
it's impressive.
fantastic. Nailed it.
And then, yeah, I'm gonna say I'm at a loss, guys. So, the party, whoever's around.
That was it. That was your big master plan.
That's all we had left. That's it.
That is all we had left, but I knew this was a waste of time. But hey, at least I got my rations. We can leave now.
She looks and she says, "Can I have my knife back, please?"
I'm gonna,
We need to take that to the constable. I'm sorry, ma'am. You'll have to get a new knife.
She
I'm just
says,
gonna try something.
she's sort of like distraught, and she looks at the gold coins in her hand and says, "It's going to be a rough one this month. Thank you
gonna-
for stopping by."
Ugh, I was gonna do something cool.
What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna take the knife. I'm gonna slam it, like spike it into the ground
Okay.
in front of the old lady. Trust me, I know what I'm doing.
Okay. You spike the knife into the ground.
Yes,
Like right in front of her, though. You're saying,
Yeah, like,
on the counter. He's saying,
very
I think,
threatening.
I think it's like in front of her is what you're trying to say, right?
yes.
She, as you spike it down, she becomes so startled that she falls over. She is now prone and cannot get up.
Okay, I'm gonna help the old lady out.
What the hell, Vincent?
I was just checking. Okay, and I'm
You're
gonna help her
gonna
out.
be accused of murder if you give her a heart attack.
I'm gonna dust off her knickers or whatever they're called. I don't know what they're called. And just take the knife back.
You help her back up. She's sort of like startled. She says, "No, it's fine. You can keep the knife. It's okay."
And yeah, to play it cool, I'll just take a biscuit or something on my way out.
So you came into this woman's house, said that she was a murderer, knocked her on her ass, and then stole a biscuit.
You have to like play it cool. And it's just, oh, come on.
No one's gonna know him, bro.
So you do it like you like just grab this biscuit and you walk out. Like dudes don't look at explosions. Like you just like walk out the door eating this biscuit, and the biscuit tastes delicious because you haven't had like real food in like a while. Not since you
Yeah,
ate the food at
victory
like the
biscuit.
tavern.
He's a hell of a baker.
And yeah, you just walk out. What's everybody else doing?
I'm guessing I don't know. However long it takes me to finish looking in windows, you let me know.
You're done looking in windows. Like eventually you're like, this is not working.
All right, so
Let's just go back to the constable and tell him that we know that he did it and sent us on this wild goose chase.
I don't know. The only thought I have at this point is going back to all the places we've gone and just like charging into their back room, like going into the tavern and just being like, "Excuse me for a moment," and just going back there.
So, okay, I'm gonna give you one last thing. Is there anywhere that you guys want to
Really
go?
wants to solve this.
And if you guys decide not to go anywhere, we're gonna go to Dawn the next day.
I don't want to not solve it. I'm not smart.
Can't
enough.
we go to the constable's house in the middle of the night?
I'm gonna say no. That's not an option.
We could just bang on his door because we want to deal with it now.
Are there? Well, no. He's saying we
Wait.
can fast forward. I hate to just give up.
Who told us about the house being like? Wasn't it getting? It was like, oh man,
He
it's
said
so
it was,
fuzzy.
like,
getting
ransacked.
ransacked or something. Yeah.
Yeah, there were like looters. There were
Yeah.
people
Who
leaving
told
the
us about
house as
that?
we came up.
I
We
did
couldn't
because
see
I'm the
who.
DM.
But we
who
couldn't
told us
see
that
any.
there was like a?
We observed that when we came in. That
You
it
noticed
had
that
been
it
ransacked.
had already been sort of ransacked. Like people had already probably come inside and started stealing goods.
That's the last building that we were in before we went to the sewers. We did see. That's where we saw the shadow, right? We saw, well, not the shadow, but like the. Am I right?
Wallace guy.
So the
We followed
biggest
him into
problem,
the sewers.
Yeah, we followed Wallace into the sewers because he lured us in.
none of us are good detectives, and all the techniques I wanted to use, I wouldn't come up with this stuff. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I went all out. You know.
Knife was brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean at this
Came
point,
at
I
it
just
with
Your
want to.
technique was amazing.
We should
All
have done
right.
the good cop, bad cop to her.
So I'm gonna say that it's the next morning. The
Good cop,
entirety of
crazy
the
noon.
town is sort of like gathered around. It's like dawn, like the sun has just come up, and the town is sort of gathered inside that town square. The constable is there, and so is everybody else that you've met. Some people that you haven't met. And the constable turns to you and he says, "Adventurers, do you have a verdict?"
Before I answer him,
I'm gonna give
I
you a little
say-
time to talk to yourselves if you want to
give
talk
me
to
one,
yourselves.
it's a quick action. I want to kneel down and grab the holy symbol, and just say, "Tyr, guide my path. Please help us bring justice to these lands as you have always intended, and point me to the killer that your will be done."
I am not present within the party, but am off at a distance, looking upon what is happening. Arms
Okay.
crossed, shaking.
Wait, what are they gathered for?
So they're gathered.
Hang a man.
So there is. You're in the main town square. It's all of the people there, but there's also a gallows. So they plan to hang someone, and who they are going to hang is the person who you have deemed did the crime.
Can I observe the crowd?
I'm gonna go use the bathroom, and then we'll come back. While I'm gone, feel free to talk amongst yourselves, because I know who did it. There is
Well,
an answer to this.
You better know.
But
He's gonna make it up. He's gonna pee, think about it, then come back.
all right, so I'm
Deliberate.
gonna be right back, and then we'll do this last bit.
I'm gonna take the
The only
stand.
person we haven't really interviewed about this is the town drunk guy.
Blacksmith.
We did.
Blacksmith.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we did interview
We
him.
questioned him too.
The problem with this is that we did this over the course of like 3 weeks.
Yeah. That
It's
was
like
where I was
started-
getting-
Yeah,
Start-
I can remember who we talked to, but again, like classical investigation techniques, like asking like, "Where were you at the night of the murder, at the time of the murder?" Like that's not stuff I'd ask. I'm just like, let's punch things, or who would have?
I think
access to
Rainson might be
survive?
closest with saying it's the constable, but originally I thought it was all three of them.
You sound like a barbarian.
Yeah, it's pretty sneaky with.
I mean,
Well, the constable, like, there's so much going on. Like, okay, so that's the dude with the hand cannons, right?
No, that was
No,
Wallace.
that's Wallace. Okay.
Yeah.
He's
The
some
constable is
random,
who we.
some random.
Rickert was the first person we met in the town who was over the dead body, and we were investigating it, and he asked us to help.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like because there's three murder weapons, like somebody planted those 3 murder weapons. That's how I feel. Like it doesn't make sense unless
Very sneaky person.
all three of those are like basically to misdirect. So who else really? That's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to the barkeep again, because he didn't have any motive except for getting the inn. Really.
Continue peeing, Rob.
That's a pretty big motive.
Continue peeing, Rob. We're not done.
Yeah, it is a big motive, but I mean, I rolled a pretty damn good perception roll when I showed him the weapons, and I didn't really nail anything down there. So
And there's no shit on his boots.
yeah, he had clean boots.
Did you check the old lady's boots?
yeah, we checked
No,
everyone's
she was
boots.
good.
No, like I said, there were
Is there
questions
a
that we just
poop
didn't
trail
ask.
anywhere?
I don't know. I just wouldn't ask.
Well,
Cytherea,
so someone
did
had
you
to be really
investigate
sneaky.
that bedroll before?
Yeah, I looked it over and it looked like someone had been living there for a while.
But
And
there
like
wasn't
that's all I got
anything
from it. And there were a bunch.
identifying
I mean, there was tracks going all over the place. Like I didn't pick anything up from it. Like I inspected it thoroughly because I was like, that's what I'm doing. I'm going through it, and it was just like, yeah, it's a bedroll.
See, and it very well could have been Wallace as well, because I mean we didn't see him find the weapons. He just said
Okay,
he
I
found
just
them.
propose we tell the constable everything we've gathered and we have no conclusion.
So you're not going to pick anybody at all then?
We
I mean,
can't
we'll
just
tell him
hang
everything we
someone.
found. We'll give him all the evidence, and you know, basically my statement will be something to the effect of like, whoever's not here probably had a hand there. I don't know. I just don't know.
So, it's the next morning. The entirety of the town is gathered in this town square, along
Did
with this
I
large,
get any reaction to that?
along with this large gallows. I'm gonna say no because it'd be too overpowered if you got a reaction out of that.
Well, I figured it would be like a really vague one, like okay, like they're in this direction, but there's like 1,000 people.
So when you do that, the light sort of shines down in the square, and it's clear that the actual murderer is inside this square, somewhere. Inside the square, you see all of the people of the town. Some people that you did not interact with, other people that you did. The only person who is not here, and Wallace is here, in fact, like he's not like missing. He's just sort of like blended in the back, but you can recognize him. He's back there smoking a cigarette again. The only person that is not here is Faith, who went off in the middle of the night last night with one of your horses.
And she did tell us she was going to leave, so that wouldn't be a surprise to us.
Yes, probably correct. She said she would take your advice as to not leave. But then one of your party members, unbeknownst to you, gave her a horse and told her to go. And assisted in her leaving the
Yeah, it's like
town.
an accessory or whatever it's called.
An accessory to the fact. So,
Joe
the
did- Ven did make her look guilty, didn't he?
Well, not to us, to the rest of the town, yeah.
the constable comes up to you and he says, "So, adventurers, do you have a verdict?"
And I just look
Well, we found the
around.
murder weapons. I'll hold the bag out at him. Watch his face. I'm gonna watch his face, Rob.
He looks in the bag and he sees the items and he sort of spills them out like onto the courtyard, and as all the items fall down, everyone sort of gasps and like looks away.
I'm watching the crowd at their reactions to this.
And as all these spill out, everyone gasps. You know, people put their hands over their mouths and things like that. And he says, "You've done well. Did this help you at all?"
Can the
It was
crowd hear?
inconclusive.
I imagine that everyone is on you know, very much so paying attention to the conversation that you all are having.
I want to use divine sense. I don't know. Just see if I
gonna-
can detect any celestial fiends or undead within 60 feet.
There are none.
All right, you know, like in high school, you like do that little funny thing where you like act like you're talking about somebody, but you kind of like you're not, and it just makes them nervous. You know what I'm saying?
I do not know what you're saying.
Like, where,
Yeah,
where-
so
That
like-
was like 40
Like
years ago.
he's gonna glance at the crowd.
yeah, I'm gonna
as if
glance
he's specifically looking at someone,
Yeah.
and then just do the.
like that. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, yeah, I think I know what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, and specifically at the old lady.
Have it out for the elderly. Just
So
I don't know. That's out of character.
I'm
while
not.
he's doing that, I'll look at Rickard and I'll say, everyone in this town had a motive. He was not a well-liked man, but there was nothing conclusive. We found a lot of people who could have brought harm to him. It's
Cantharian,
just-
do you have the ledger?
I hold out the ledger, kind of close to me, and I say, none of this is conclusive either. Depending on how this is interpreted, Ricardo was not only was he hurting your town, but he was playing this war against itself. Honestly, this is most likely an unsolved mystery that has a solution that we just cannot find.
He looks at the ledger and sort of flips through the pages, and he says, I do not find this surprising. Ricardo wasn't the best person, but the truth of the matter still lies. Somebody here took his life, and I cannot let that stand. He says, if you won't figure out who did it, or if you don't know who did it, and can name no one, I'm afraid I will have to go with another party.
Do you have a suspicion of who might have?
He shakes his head and he says, my dear, I am far too old and have been far out of the game to be able to figure this out myself. I was hoping that a lot of you would be able to.
The only thing we can discern is that all of these weapons have been stolen from their proper owners. The weaponsmith, the blacksmith, and the baker. Is there anything that connects the three of them?
He says, I do not know. That was what I hoped for you to find.
And the old lady doesn't flinch.
Flinching, like she's a little shaky.
Okay.
But I would say that anytime that you look at her, she kind of flinches a little bit because she's just imagining the knife debacle.
Alright, I'll leave her alone then.
And the stolen cupcake, or muffin, biscuit, whatever.
And I look at Rickert once more and just say, I looked in every dwelling. I've investigated every inch of this town. Very stealthily. I disturbed none of these fine subjects with my skill and prowess. I find no conclusions, and I fear I failed you.
Who's the other parties whose opinion you'd be taking if not ours?
He
Not that Wallace character, I hope.
he says I didn't get a name, but, and sort of gestures towards the gentleman in the back, and Wallace takes a drag from his cigarette and blows it out and smiles at you.
And what makes you think that it wasn't Wallace who did it? How long has he been in town?
He says he only just arrived when you all arrived as well.
He
But we
gave
didn't
us
see
those
him.
weapons. He's the one who gave us the weapons.
He leans
And all of these were stolen, and he has claimed that he is not seen unless he wishes to be seen.
he leans in and says, are you suggesting that he did it?
Well, he approached us saying that he wanted to find who the murderer was. When he confessed to being a murderer himself for hire for Ricardo.
So you're saying that this guy came in at the same time as us?
He
around
sort
the
of, I'm saying that he appeared in the town around the same time as you all did.
But wasn't he already working for the dude for a while?
Yeah,
nobody
but he's
ever
pretty
saw him before?
he's pretty inconspicuous.
Yeah.
He's pretty good at being inconspicuous. The same way that Grisham's pretty fucking good at being inconspicuous if he doesn't want to be found. Like Grisham probably is pretty good at not being found.
Well, I'm not suggesting that Wallace did it, but I am suggesting that you probably shouldn't necessarily take his opinion.
He leans forward and he whispers to you. He says, "Look, I need a name. If I can't get a name, this town will tear itself apart. And if you can't give one to me, he will.
I take my sword and shield and just throw them to the ground and put my hands up and just start yelling to the crowd, essentially saying, "This is not justice. We are at the point." I don't want to yell because Mrs. Kant is sleeping. We are at the point where we have gathered and investigated as much as we can. If you want to kill someone to satisfy yourselves, then by all means do it. But do not try to convince yourselves that this is justice. I will have no part of this, and Tyr will look unfavorably upon those who do.
The crowd begins whispering to each other, like, "Do you think he did it? Is this all a ruse?" And they're all like whispering and mumbling with your sort of grandiose gesture. And the constable sort of like tries to hush them down, quiets them, and he leans forward and says, "Adventurers, what will it be?"
I just shake my head, pick up my things, and start heading off towards the stables and say, "May Tyr have mercy on your soul."
Well, I believe it might have been the blacksmith or the weaponsmith Faith. She's not here. I think she ran.
Yeah, she isn't present.
Shadow?
I just stand there with no comment because she doesn't think that there can be anything to go further with that.
Venator?
He's at a distance. He's just watching from.
So are you like listening to all this? Like, are you hearing them like place the blame on Faith?
I am. And I have not decided what I want to do about that.
Okay. The constable leans forward and he says, "So is that it then? That is the name."
That's all
They
I've
do
got.
not speak for all of us. I think the evidence was completely inconclusive.
I'll whisper kind of to Shadow, "Look, they're gonna hang someone no matter what we do, so if we blame Faith, at least she has a head start."
But they'll hunt her down.
We did what we could. It's better for us to go about our way without anyone coming after us when it's all said and done. At least we tried.
You know that Wallace person would catch up to her.
Well, then it'll be a bad day for her.
I give him sort of a look of distrust, that he would do such a thing.
Is Wallace still over there with a shit-eating grin on?
Yeah, he has this giant shit-eating grin, and as you like look over towards him, he like sort of knocks back his cloak, revealing the cannon around his waist.
How far away is Venator from Wallace?
You'd have to ask him.
Yeah, how far
Wallace
away
is
are
in the
you?
crowd, so Venator. How far away are you from the crowd right now?
From the crowd, I don't know, like 10, 15 feet back from the crowd. So not like a part of the crowd, but close enough to hear, I guess, public conversation.
All right, I'm gonna walk up to Wallace.
Okay.
I'm gonna say, you think you pulled a real fast one on us, huh?
He said he looks at you and says, "By what do you mean, friend?"
We found nothing. It's very convenient. He had the weapons. Very sneaky guy. No one knew that they were gone. It's just super convenient.
He says, "I reckon it is convenient, But like I told you before, I didn't kill the man. I'm here to find the person who did. That was your job. Now tell me, did you do it?
I was going to ask you the same thing.
Well, I guess we got ourselves an old... I was going to say Mexican standoff, but a Mexican standoff does not exist in Dungeons
Mauritian or
and
whatever.
An old Mauritium standoff. He says, look, son, all you gotta do is give a name. You give him the right one, and we can figure this all out. I just need a body. That's all I ever needed.
I think I know who did this.
What do you think?
I'm gonna walk away. I'm gonna walk away from him.
Okay.
Venator. I'm gonna go to him. I'm gonna say,
Magic Man.
it was Wallace, wasn't it?
Well, what?
Orchestrated this whole thing.
Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. It's none of my concern.
All right. I guess I'll walk to the party.
Do it, Landon. Do it. Do it, Landon. Do it.
Walk to the party. Are they still talking with the guy?
Yeah, I would say they're still talking to the constable.
Well, didn't Cantharian walk off?
Yeah, I went. So I threw my stuff down, gave the stupid speech, and then picked it back up, and then I'm heading towards Strider because I want to do like a Sleepy Hollow, but not as scary. Just intimidation on my awesome Celestial War Steed.
Okay. Okay.
Who are you?
Oh yeah, I have a telekinetic bond. I tell him to meet me halfway to the ghost basket.
Alright, what's everybody else doing?
He has the ring on him still, I would assume.
Yeah,
None
but
of us
you-
thought that was...
I don't think you know about the ring.
Yeah, you don't.
No,
know
we
what
don't
the ring-
know.
It's not the magic ring. It's
No.
Yeah.
this ring.
It's your thing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I need to know what everybody else is doing first.
It's the murder ring that he gave him.
So yeah, I'm doing that. Venator's watching. Shadow and Grisham are talking to the constable.
And I'm still scanning the crowd to see if anyone's behaving in an odd manner.
No one appears to be behaving in an odd manner. Everyone appears to be scared and or nervous.
All right. I'm gonna say I got a name for you.
He says, do your friends agree?
I think they have my back.
Shrugs. I shrug.
And he says, all right then. Who did it?
I'm gonna point right at him, and say Wallace. I'm gonna say it loud. I can't do it loud right now though. But yeah, like very intimidating.
As you point in his direction, like the crowd begins to part, and Wallace looks to you confused, and he says, "You have to be joking, right? What good would it be for me to kill Ricardo?"
How do we
All
know
evidence.
that anything you told us was true?
How do I know that anything you told me was true? And he sort of like walks out into the middle of the courtyard with his hand upon one of the cannons. He looks at the constable and he says, "You must be joking. You think the man who killed the richest man in town happens to be someone you've never seen before?"
Well, you had mentioned to us that you had said that the house, you thought we were ransacking the house when we were there.
Yes, because what was
The
stopping
house
me?
was already ransacked when we got there. And you had been watching the house, and you didn't see anyone else in the house?
He says, that house has been getting ransacked all night. I followed everyone who left that place, and a lot of you were the only ones who looked like you could have blood on your hands. The only type of people, when I look in your eyes, I can see that you've killed a man before. Every last one of you has killed a man before, and you're gonna point the finger at me for being no different than you.
How did you get the weapons?
I told you. I found them.
Where?
And I waited for you to come back. I pieced it together the same way that you did. The blood trail into the sewer, through the sewer grates. I planned on you coming down there. He looks at the constable and says, you can't seriously take these people to honestly believe that I would do it. The constable turns back to you, and he says, it's up to you. What's it gonna be?
He looks to us.
Yep.
I think that someone else should say something instead of me yelling.
I will look to Shadow and give her basically a quizzical look like, you want to go with this or do you want to go with what I said? Because that's basically all you got. Unless you come up with a better idea. I don't know if I can imply all that with a look, but I do it.
So what's it gonna be, Shadow?
You know, this is just... We can't just accuse someone without any proof whatsoever. None of this is conclusive. We just
Remember
have...
how you put that man in the mayor's house? Remember how you put him out of his misery because he was dying? This town is dying. We're putting it out of its misery. So make a choice. Sometimes it's a hard choice, but a choice has to be made.
I think they should choose for themselves. If they wish to kill an innocent person so that they can rest better, so be it. And I'm done with this town.
Wallace looks at you and he says, look, if you're not going to make a decision, I will. I will kill the guilty party.
And who
I can
do you
promise
think
you
is
that.
the guilty party?
It doesn't matter. I'll take care of it.
Because if you have an idea, then perhaps you should present it to everyone.
Who do you think did it?
If he
Who
knows,
could have done it?
If he knows,
We don't know
and he's been
who
following
connects
us.
them.
He, as you say that, he goes out into the crowd. He grabs the blacksmith and throws the blacksmith on the ground. He grabs, like, the old woman and throws the old woman on the ground. And as they're both on the ground, he looks around to see if he can find Faith, but Faith is, for some reason, like, not here. He pulls out both the guns and places them to the back of their heads and says, if you won't make a decision, I will make it for you.
Oh my god.
Do I have Strider yet?
Yeah, you got your warhorse.
I want to charge and attack Wallace.
Okay.
Okay, keep in
Trampling
mind
the
that
people on the ground in the process, and they're dead.
And
If
just
he knew
scream
this
out,
whole
this
time-
is not justice. This is not justice, as loud as I can say it, and let my wife sleep.
Okay. Go ahead and make that. You are doing this.
I mean, if I got back in time to see him holding these two people who I'm pretty sure didn't do it at gunpoint, yep.
Okay. Go ahead and make an attack roll for me.
if he was so sure, though, why was he following us? Why was he even bothering to show us the weapons and everything else?
Out of character, maybe he wasn't so sure. Maybe he did. Like I said,
So
I'm not gonna go into. I'll go into it after the session. We're gonna
Okay,
finish
okay,
the
cool.
session first.
Go.
Go ahead and make an attack roll for me, please. A 17 to hit. I'm gonna say that hits. So here's what happens. Hold on. Let me change the music. I want better music here.
Oh, there's music?
I like this music right here.
Yeah, there's music.
I always forget to adjust my speakers.
So, you come riding into the square, full speed.